This is Late Night Politics on StarFm, taking an in-depth look at the Zimbabwean political scene.
The youth interface rallies are set to resume with the Bulawayo edition slated for 4 March. On the 3rd of November, the Zimbabwe National Liberation War Veterans Association is planning to hold a national rally in Harare subject to clearance by the Zimbabwe Republic Police. The Comrade Christopher Muchangwa-led war vets got a reprieve at the High Court, which recognizes the executive as rightly mandated to lead the Zimbabwe National Liberation War Veterans Association. The war vets body has also mended relations with former leader Jabulani Sibanda. We wait to see what will be the outcome of that reunion. The MDC Alliance leader, Dr. Morgan Tsvangirai, flew to South Africa for what the MDC-T party said was routine treatment, but this has not stopped calls for the party to start looking beyond the veteran opposition leader for another candidate to face ZANU-PF's comrade Robert Mugabe, who has already been endorsed as the 2018 presidential candidate for ZANU-PF. And four ZANU-PF members, including Midlands Youth Leader Mayor Wajga Jena and Mazvingo Provincial Chair Ezra Chadzamira, were suspended by the commissariat for disrespecting party leaders among a slew of 6 offences. My name is George Msumba, and tonight it's Late Night Politics. We have Norton MP, Comrade Themba Mliswa, and MDC-T Youth Secretary General Lovemore Chinoputsa. Welcome to Late Night Politics. And ZANU-PF Highfield West MP, Comrade Psychology Masiwisa, has sent his apologies. We are going to be discussing about the youth mobilization. And I'll start with you, Comrade Mliswa. How is the voter registration going?
Very slow, very discouraging. And certainly not looking good, because you'd expect that the youth, who from a demographic point of view are the majority, must be taking part, especially the fact that they're unemployed. I thought this would help them be in the corridors of power, dictate the future, because literally they have been at the mercy of a certain generation which does not look after their interests, and as a result, they as a generation must come in and look after their own interests, and that can only be done through having to register to vote and mobilizing others and so forth. So certainly it looks a bleak future for the Thing Youth in terms of them being in the corridors of power. Social media doesn't vote. They've got to go out there and vote.
We will come back to that issue of expectations of the youths and why perhaps political parties and you as independents, maybe what message, why are the youths not reacting to it? For you, Chinoputsa as MDC-T, how is the registration going?
Yeah, it has started on a very slow note, but you understand that as we're finishing the first phase, the first blitz, numbers were beginning to rise up, and I think with a lot of effort, with a lot of mobilization around the ground, I think we'll be able to register more people. But I want to agree with Honorable Mliswa that young people have really not been up to the task of registering to vote. I think it's also to do with the operating environment, where a lot of people have begun to think that it doesn't change anything to register to vote, it doesn't change anything to vote. But I think it is that kind of perception that needs to change. And also we need to be able to then make use of the numbers that we have in young people to then say, if they constitute the majority, they should be the ones who are in the majority in terms of registering. But as you have seen, I think women are, and even older women, I think, are the ones who have registered more than any other grouping of people in this country. I think it's still said that we have young people who do not see any need and who do not see any agents in registering to vote.
Nationally, of course, ZEC has said they've reached the million mark. And for you as MDC-T in Epworth, one of your candidates, I think, has been Zivai Metu, has going, and Epworth has registered the highest number nationally. What could he be doing that is different to other sectors? I know he's aspiring, and I hope that you won't take the bone away from his mouth after he's done all the hard work.
Well, yes, Epworth, I think we've done very well, but it will also be it will go down to the kind of effort that has been put in Epworth constituency, where there's been serious mobilization on the ground, and it's also to do with the number of people that we find in Epworth. I think Epworth is quite a huge chunk of people that are staying there, and I think they've just been I think it's also the level of poverty that has made them understand and appreciate the reason to vote. But I think we're happy that Epworth, I think by yesterday, there were more than 63,000 people that had registered across the political divide. And we're happy also even with the kind of effort that our local leadership there is putting. It's not really about any issues to do with positions or what, but I think it's just working for the party and ensuring that come 2018 we'll have a lot of young people voting, and come 2018 we'll have a change of government. But I think I'm happy with what has been happening in Epworth, and we are hoping that as we go into the other areas around Harare, and especially around other urban areas where we enjoy a strong support, we'll be able to make sure that all these young people are able to register.
Comrade Mliswa, before we started this program, you were talking off air about the big parties failing really to mobilize the youths. Matabeleland, the low turnout, it's sad really. And yet you also talked about the youths not coming to the fore to say, look, let's take our position. Where are the big parties going wrong?
I think basically this also is an indication that people just don't have faith in the political parties anymore. I think it's about you having policies, having to deliver, and looking after people's welfare. And you've got to understand that, I just tweeted the other day saying that, the ruling party has stopped ruling, the opposition party has stopped opposing. Which basically says that they're not able to do what they're exactly supposed to do. Because I think you need to look at the policies that you present to people and deliver on them, whether you like it or not. And for example, in terms of ZANU-PF, the aspect of corruption, which His Excellency has spoken about several times, has not been implemented. And that certainly discourages people from saying, we're entrusting you, we're giving you our vote, we're giving you the power, but you're equally not able to execute and deliver at the end of the day. Whereas with the opposition, again, they've got to be there to put pressure on the ruling party to be able to say we are the alternative. If we're going to the alternative, this is what we're offering. But you can see the fights that are there. Even before you really spoke to us, already there was news that 4 members have been expelled. So it seems the focus is on personal issues in the parties, and not on the big agenda of taking this country forward and so forth. So the youth who are suffering the most have no trust in a leadership which does not address issues which pertain them. In terms of Zimaset, for example, good blueprint document, what has been done about Zimaset? Why are we not reporting on the success of Zimaset and so forth? Are we growing the cake big? You know that in the 2013 elections, first sitting of parliament, I refused a car which was not made in this country, because Zimaset was about us growing our manufacturing, having to create employment. Because if you're manufacturing your own cars, the employment is available, the informal sector is taking off and so forth. So it's about delivery more than anything else, and people are awakening to that, and they no longer have hope in political parties that are not able to address their issues. And I think it has a lot as well to do with young people not being involved in the thing forefront. I like what Epworth is doing with Metude. He's young, he's pushing, and it's equally important for those young people who want to be part of leadership to be seen, to be mobilizing people to parties have got structures, MDC has got structures, ZANU-PF has got structures. It is through these structures that you must be mobilizing. If you're able to mobilize so many people going to the interface, if you're able to mobilize so many people going to the thing matches. I was part of the MDC match for the 2.2 million jobs, for the 15 billion that went missing. I could see them mobilizing. So why can't you then mobilize for the most important part of the exercise, which is for the people to vote? Because all those mobilization and tactics of gathering people together mean nothing if those people are not registered to vote.
Chinoputsa, strong words coming from Comrade Mliswa there that you are non-existent on the ground. What are you waiting for? Because ZANU-PF can even afford to expel members, they can afford to fight each other. Where are you as the biggest opposition party in Zimbabwe?
I'm happy that you were talking of an example of Epworth as a true reflection of what the MDC is doing on the ground there, and I will be shocked that you still then go on to explain that the MDC
Yes, because we want a replication nationally.
We don't operate in the media. We don't operate in the public domain. Work is happening on the ground, comrades. We are seriously mobilizing our people on the ground, and at the end of the day, numbers will be able to tell when we finish this. The 1 million mark, yes, it might not have been the best that could have come out of phase one, but it was a good starting point, and we are happy with the progress that we've made, especially in the last 7 days or 6 days of the blitz, and we are prepared for the second phase now, which will be starting tomorrow. And I want to assure you that we are doing everything within our powers and capacity to make sure that every young person. We started with our membership, where we have said that every member of the party right now should have been registered by the first phase, by the end of the first phase. And now their role now is to go around mobilizing their communities. And as you are aware, we are running a program which we have dubbed Chakachaya. This is the time to make sure that we do everything within our means to make sure that every young person and every person who is able to vote in the next election will be able to do that. So we are not just seated. We are doing a lot of things, but we will not operate in the media. We'll keep our work on the ground, and the results will be there to show that the MDC is serious and the MDC is ready to take over come 2018.
So you no longer need the media.
No, we will not do our work in the media.
I think to me what is important, I think it touches on a very good point, which is exactly my point, that MDC has been strong in the urban. Epworth in the urban. That's not the issue. 72% of the voters are in the rural areas of the electorate. And what are you doing? I want to see you saying 60,000 people in Rungwe West, 60,000 people in Bibikita, 60,000 people in Zimba. The rural way 72% of the voters are. And then when you're penetrating those areas, then you're making progress. We cannot talk about making progress in an urban setup, which we know you're already strong. Okay, strength is about you being able to be seen, making inroads in areas where you are not strong. ZANU-PF is not too worried about the urban at all. ZANU-PF is worried about where the 72% are, where people have been empowered through Thingland, where people have access to think traditional leaders who are able to do so many things and so forth. How is their relationship with the traditional leaders? Because we don't want them having to complain that ZANU-PF had the monopoly of traditional leaders when you had 5 years to campaign and so forth. There's a tendency for people to come in late. When you come in late, you cannot be, it's just like you are going to one destination. You have a Mini Cooper and you have a Mercedes-Benz. ZANU-PF is a Mercedes-Benz, you have a Mini Cooper. You want to get to destination B. The one with the Mini Cooper must start early. Okay, you cannot start at the same time as the Mercedes-Benz because it will get there quicker than you. But if you start early, you still get there, and the Mercedes-Benz might find you there. So my point is that it's about preparation. I am a sports person. You do not win without preparing. You do not win without a pre-season game. You do not win without friendly matches as you are going to the final and so forth. Then expect to just win a World Cup or a final without you having prepared for it. Anything has got to allude to facts pointing to how well prepared we are to get to that point. Right now, we were in the final stages of having to register, and certainly you can see that ZANU-PF, whether you like it or not, being the government of the day, has given chiefs cars. You are going to complain that the chiefs have been given cars, and they are critical in the election of this country, as they know. I mean, I was in Urungwe West, and when I lost, the mobilization were by the chiefs. But the chiefs will work with the government of the day. No wonder why everybody wants to be government. There are certain things that the government of the day has advantages, which you cannot do anything about. Obama, when he was campaigning for Hillary Clinton, was using Air Force One. Okay, a state jet. No one complained, but he was going to support his Democrat and so forth. So it goes without saying that the government of the day also has access to those state resources, and they want to stay in power, and they'll use them accordingly. Now ZANU-PF is starting to think roll out programs, which they're saying timelessly so. Which are saying, but no one was going to the ground saying, but ZANU-PF is not doing this. And this is where Chinoputsa must be able to come in and say, what counter did you make, and so forth. Right now, the BVR is coming through. This is where it should all happen. Politics is about mobilization. It's about the people. If you cannot mobilize, you can't lead.
Comrade Mliswa, is it too late for the MDC to make inroads in the rural areas, considering the perks that the chiefs are getting?
It's too late. I told them ages back, and he's a young comrade that I spoke to. Each time I spoke to him, I said, I know when you're doing ZANU-PF. I was a chairman of Marsh West. I was an MP in a rural thing. There's a time when you move in. Then there's a time when you cannot move in. And when there's time when they also tighten the thing screws. But when the screws were not tightened, where were you?
Comrade Chinoputsa, respond to the issue of MDC being just strong in the urban areas and neglecting the way he's saying 76% of the electorate that is the rural areas. Programs, have you engaged any chiefs, or you have just sat back and said, no, these people belong to ZANU-PF, we are not going to engage them at all?
And before you go, just one key point, and here we agree. And I like the fact that he said most of the people are registered now are mothers, are women. And women are easily intimidated, and you know what that means. We want young people to overtake the number of women, so you know what we're talking about.
No, I want to agree with that. Obviously, the urban areas are our areas of strength. And we will not neglect our areas of strength simply because we would need to increase our effort. What we are saying is that our strategy first is to make sure that where we are strong, we'll make sure that everyone registers. You will see that even Comrade Mliswa himself, he had to run away from Urungu to come to Norton, a peri-urban area, because he realized that he stood better chances. So our first port of call is to make sure that in our areas of influence, we take everyone on board. But obviously, we have a strategy. We have had a strategy around rural areas. And like I've said before, it's not really about going all over the place, because we've realized that the reason why a lot of people have been victimized in this country is because the parties come in, they do their things, and they want to publicize what they've done with who. We have changed strategy. We have engaged over the past few years. We've been engaging with the traditional leaders. We've been engaging with the churches. We've been engaging with the different networks that are in this country. And the traditional leaders remain one of the key groups of people that we have engaged. And it's beyond. It's one thing to engage with traditional leaders again, but it's also another thing to engage with the the electorate and the voters and the different layers that are abused by ZANU-PF. And I think we have a strategy. We cannot just come in and say we want to take over the running of this country when we are not prepared. We have clear mechanisms of ensuring that come 2018, our people will be able to register, our people will be able to vote for the MDC in the rural areas. And we have a clear strategy to be able to deal with this. We will not neglect rural areas. We have a strategy for this for our rural areas, and we are going in. We are working. We are not worried. We know that ZANU-PF has always abused. We know that ZANU-PF has always used chiefs. You know that ZANU-PF has always used resources and money to bribe people as we get to these elections. But we are prepared for them come 2018. But also, I also want to point out that the operating environment that we find ourselves in is also made it will also make it difficult for anyone to vote for ZANU-PF. You will see that obviously there are issues of violence. Fine, there's issue of violations that will come in, but the economy itself has done a lot of harm to the prospects of ZANU-PF. Any right-thinking person will not be able to vote for ZANU-PF come 2018. But obviously, we will not sit back and say, simply because the economy is not performing, then therefore it means that people are going to. And we're also even urging, there's nothing wrong with Comrade Mliswa as an independent person to also be canvassing and going around. Because he has a responsibility as an independent person in this country, and he has a responsibility as someone who has who over the years has been with the gravy train to undo all the bad things that have happened over the years. So it's also his responsibility as a semi-young person to be able to encourage and make sure that young people want to see YAD growing, want to see YAD going on the ground and being relevant and being responsible in terms of, in as far as making sure that young people are concerned. It's one thing to be complaining, but it's another thing also to be coming up with ideas and innovations in terms of how best then can we move forward as a country.
The program is Late Night Politics. We are discussing youth mobilization. The BVR exercise, the blitz is on, but the figures are not encouraging. In the studio tonight, we have Norton MP, Comrade Themba Mliswa, as well as MDC-T Youth Secretary General Lovemore Chinoputsa. We've been discussing about the current voter registration process and the strategies that are ongoing in order to make sure that, especially the young people, go out there and vote and register to vote. The future is theirs. In terms of expectations, I know, Comrade Mliswa, you touched a little bit about that. You interact with the youths. You talk to them. YAD, it's a youth organization. And in terms of expectations, what are some of the expectations of the youths in Zimbabwe in terms of elections? And how do you view their perception towards the electoral system? We touched a little bit about it, but we want to go into a bit of detail so that we understand how the youths think and how we can possibly get them to the ballot box.
You see, it's about a culture, and it's about the seed that we plant. And Comrade Chinoputsa must understand one thing. When MDC said don't vote, it also means don't register. So there was a despondency, and they need to undo that. They are responsible for people not registering because they said don't vote. But equally, they want to go to the elections and they're saying vote. That's contradictory. And I told them this statement is dangerous because it has a following, MDC. And there are people who are cadres, who are serious, who are disciplined, who when the president says don't vote, they will not register because they fear that if they register, they'll be expelled from the party. So what have they done to unlock and to address that contradictory statement at the same time you are going to elections? That has paid. That has done a lot of damage because, you go to them, you talk to them, and they say, but why should we? They're still waiting for their president, for their party to go on a blitz to say, no, we have undone that. So that's the blitz that the MDC needs to do so that they can unlock that value of the electorate to come through and so forth. That's number one. Number two, I've constantly said to Comrade Chinoputsa, where are the youth in this game? Demographically, they're over 60%. But what is MDC doing to also accommodate them at 60% in leadership? Then he says, no. They talked about 20. I said, 20 is not good enough, comrade. we want what belongs to the youth. For us, by us. Are you with me? So over 60% is the population. But the leadership in the MDC is it all for 60% of the youth. When you do that, they're easily motivated, they're easily inspired. And this is something that they need to bring to their seniors in the party. We don't have an issue. Listen, the youth have no issue, even Comrade Mugabe, even as whether he's 100 years old, but if he can advance the cause for the youth, they'll vote for him. If Morgan Tsvangirai can advance the cause for the youth, they'll vote for him. It's not about age. It's about you advancing their cause. Do they have employment? Are they getting good fees? Is there subsidy in a lot of things and so forth? Economic issues, housing, are they benefiting from it and so forth? So no, it's not about the age. So to me, I'm also saying no. Vakuru afani kuchika kuti kana mayuthi akuya tukuda kuabvisa aiwa. Tinochengeta futi vakuru vanofamba negwara remayuthi kuti vabudirire. That must be understood and so forth. As for YAD, he knows what I've done for YAD. I've created a lot of leaders. That's why YAD will never be a political party. It is an idea, okay, whose time, has come where the youth come together. And in terms of political tolerance, fighting and so forth, objective is to see them participating and understanding. I bring them all together. I preach, and I'm going in the rural areas. There's a program that I'm starting in the next week. I was supposed to start in Lupani. I couldn't because of the voter registration. I'm going to Rungo West at Karereshe, where I'll be gathering at least 3,000 to 5,000 youth from all political parties to encourage them to go and vote, to encourage them not to fight each other, but to focus on being in power, but equally supporting people who they believe will advance their needs and so forth. So youth advocacy for reform and democracy is strong on the ground through the tertiary institutions too, which are critical. We are doing that. I'm at CAT today, the elections, we are contesting in there. But while I'm there, I'm saying you young people in the tertiary institutions must also spread out when you go to school on holidays and spread the word and get the other youth to vote. What we are saying, as a youth, bring 10 guys. Those 10 guys must also find 10 guys. We must deal with figures so that we're able to compare at the end of the day how many have been registered. The old voters roll at 6 million people registered. 3 million voted, 3 million did not vote. And Comrade Chinoputsa and I must ask ourselves, why did the 3 million not vote yet they were there? So the question is that, do we need more registered voters, or we need to convince the 3 million who did not vote to vote? That's something that the political parties must ask themselves, that half of the people did not vote but they were registered. So we can register people. The other issues that, are they going to vote? Because we have a record that 6 million voters registered, 3 million voted, 3 million did not vote.
Comrade Chinoputsa, I know the previous debates I've had with cadres from the MDC-T, and this was way before the announcements of the dates for elections. And I was always asking, why are you boycotting these primary elections? And they said, no reforms, no elections. Have you abandoned that stance?
No, we have not abandoned that stance. What we have said, we've just changed strategy and tactic in terms of dealing with the issues. We, as you are aware, that our party is continuously engaged with the platform where, with ZEC and other political parties, where we are continuing to push for electoral reforms. But we have said, while we are pushing for the electoral reforms, we believe that it is our responsibility again to make sure that everyone gets on the they get to be registered. So we because you realize that the next election everyone will have to be on the BVR for them to be able to register. So while we are pushing for the electoral reforms, we will still need to have our people register, and we have communicated this to our people, and I think our party spokesperson has been clear to say that we are participating in this BVR process, while at least we are pushing at another level the electoral reforms. And we believe we'll only make a decision as to whether we are going to be able to participate in this election or not with regards to the amount and the number of reforms that will have unlocked from the current negotiating process that is happening. But that doesn't stop us from mobilizing people to register under the BVR process, because once you are not registered, even if you're going to make a decision that we are participating in the next elections, we will then still not have been able to put our people on the ballot. So yeah, we are there. All the processes are happening side by side, and we are happy with the progress that is being made at the negotiations with us.
And if there are no reforms,
that will be a decision by the party to make and the leadership of the party to make. What we are worried about right now is to make sure that young people, especially, are registered. Want to make sure that everyone gets registered. And then that decision will obviously be made at the right time, depending on the circumstances of the day. But we are clear that at the moment, nothing will stop us from pushing for people to be on the BVR.
Mliswa vari kuti makaita damage yakakura zvikuru pamairambidza vanhu kundovhota. Vanhu vakutoti hazvibatsiri kuenda kundovhota because hapana zvazvinochinja. And yet ndokunobva manumbers amuri kudacho. Pfungwa idzodzo dzavari muri kudzikatanura sei kuti vanhu vachiziva kuti electoral process iyi inogona kushanda kuti zvinangwa zvedu zviitike.
The same way that we communicated that we are not participating and people listened is the very same way that we have communicated with our people. And there's progress in as far as that is concerned. When we told them that they should not participate, they didn't participate. And when we have told them that now they need to be on they need to be on the roll, they are doing that. We are happy with the way that we've communicated, and we are happy with the way our structures have been responsive. In any way, we're also helping our brother here. If we had participated in the elections in Norton, you would probably not have been a member of parliament. But that's besides the point. I think the point was that it was not at that particular point in time. It was not worth it to continue to participate in a process. You would want to refuse that people helped him out, but you would definitely know that he benefited from our direct involvement in the elections in North. I think
we campaigned for him.
We deployed at the highest level. We deployed a war vice president to assist Comrade Mliswa. We deployed and made sure that all our structures in Norton were able to assist him, and together with all the other people that he had worked with in ZANU-PF and the chiefs and the war veterans. I think it was a concerted effort by everyone to make sure that he won. And if he wants to be honest with the people of Zimbabwe, you will then be able to say he received a lot of support from every other sector, including the MDC. And we are happy that we deployed him to Parliament.
I'm glad for the first time you have said the right thing, that everybody helped me, including MDC, the war veterans, PDP, and so forth. It was a concerted effort. But I refuse for MDC to say, I won because of MDC. Because if you look at the figures, MDC lost that constituency in 2013. You must understand this. So I go and win it. Okay? And you look at the urban votes, they went down for me. The rural went up. You lost in Ward 15. Okay, one vote, one word, you lost. Honorable Mchangwa 2013 had 1,500. Comrade, the candidate had 200. And that was the difference. But I went and won that election. So what I'm trying to say at the end of the day is the issue of us getting the message to the ground. Okay, yes, you agree that if we're united, we're able to get the message better. Because the other issue that the opposition has, you don't trust people who were in ZANU-PF, who are ZANU-PF. You always label them to be CIO and so forth. Yet you cannot penetrate those areas. You cannot penetrate the rural of Norton without me. I won and you lost. Okay, that must tell you the potential that I have. But you then accuse me of being still ZANU-PF, of being CIO and so forth. Yet you talk about, I have a seat in parliament, but you're talking to alliances who don't have seats. Okay, if you talk about Urungwa West, I got 4,000 votes against 5,000 in the rural, and you know the election. How many people can boast of that? I'm telling you, I won that. I beat MDC in 2013, free fair election. They'd won the seat, I do that. So my track record is pretty clear. So for you to even suggest that I left Norton, I left Urungwa West for Norton, which was better. No, I have gone and I've taken, okay, from MDC before in 2013. I've taken from ZANU-PF before. I am the only politician in this country in one term that has beaten the opposition, that has beaten the ruling party. And for whether you like it or not, I'm somebody who you must be consulting and saying, but Comrade Mliswa, how do you do it? How do you go about it and so forth? Because no matter what you say, what matters is the result. And that's what it is. So they even don't invite me to their alliances. Yet they're saying, no, we are with Comrade Mliswa now, they want to come through. I have respect for President Tsvangirai. I like him. I organized the rally for him in Norton, which had so many people. He did not come. He let me down. As a human being, I always said I was hurt. But he will never again have an opportunity like that in Norton. Yet that was the launch of many things to come. And when they sit down, they'll realize that whoever advised him, ill-advised him. Because there is never a time where he's going to get so many people wanting to listen to him. I was attacked by various parties and so forth. The aspect of Honorable Chamisa coming in, Yard is part of NERA. So it was Honorable Mtasa was there, Comrade Mtasa was there, Maslin Chikasha was there and so forth. So Chamisa was there because of NERA, because Yard is a signatory of NERA, we work together. So I must correct that. It was not on deployment of the party. MDC never made an official statement to say that we are supporting Themba Mliswa. The war veterans did, PDP did. But what I will also not try not to say is that the people of Norton, MDC people included, saw the need to unite. Despite them, others went against their own parties at the end of the day. There are other MDC people who literally say to me, we cannot work with you because there is no directive from the party to work with you. But the critical issue which I want us to address is that what has MDC done in their structures to send information to the ground? One, he talks about ZANU-PF economy not working, which is true. The issue that you asked him about, how are you going to demystify the whole aspect that you now want to vote and so forth, so that we don't repeat 2013. 2013, they were not sure whether they were going to elections or going to elections. They lost and said we were rigged. But the truth of the matter is there was uncertainty. And when there's uncertainty, people don't move. Are we not seeing a repeat of 2013 again, where you're saying we are still studying the reforms, we're in, we're out? Let there be certainty so that people move in one direction. But the dissemination of information to the rural folk is critical. And there is no institution, whether you like it or not, which is so good at it like ZANU-PF. You've got to give ZANU-PF strength. I'm a coach. I'm able to identify we are not going. Propaganda is ZANU-PF kuyenda neshoko kwanu. Vachishandisa ma structures aripo yakaoma. And how do we break into that? How do we go with those structures? You know, the economy is kushanda. Nokuti katala pa social media tiri munomu. Hasikusika huko. Ma iPhone hako huko. Soda muna anoenda pa ground. Anoenda pa msangano pa sabuku. Pawanosangana achitaura sabuka akitaura zvakanaka kuti but one way izvo hazvisikuita ndizvo zviri kuitika here. Without that we are not going anywhere. We've got over 70 parties. What for? I always say that MDC-T Morgan China is the biggest opposition party. If the opposition is serious, they must rally behind that. You've got young boys coming up who have no clue, meeting in town, seeing pictures on social media, wasting people's time. These guys must be charged for treason because they're misleading people. You cannot just be a president and wake up when you've not even contested. Who do they think they are bluffing? They must just keep to their houses, have breakfast, good dinner and lunch with their wives rather than wasting people. These are emotional issues, and I speak this with emotion. And for the first time, I'm warning them, we are not stupid. Stay at home. You're not even a registered voter. Somebody's never voted in this country and they want to be the president of this country. Why are you taking these people for a thing granted when they've suffered for so long? We have got founding principles that we stuck to in this country in terms of the struggle, which I'm glad everybody sees the need to be associated with. No one argues kuti nyika yakauya nehondo, but no munhu anongomukawo from anywhere kuti ndakuda kuita president, iye mukadzi wake structure hana, but ZEC again must come up with a system of auditing these political parties kuti unzi political party une ma-structures, une vanhu vakadai membership yatinoona, not ungotora munhu wese kana Mliswa afunga mangwana kuita political party na Chinoputsa dzinga ku MDC ane party. That nonsense must stop. It's a waste of taxpayers' money, and I think we must point things in the right direction. For as long as that happens, ZANU-PF will constantly be winning elections. One thing about ZANU-PF, it is certain. They have a candidate already.
Yeah. Vamliswa vamwe vanogona kuti kuopposition vanogona kuti Mliswa atrustiki because tombomuona achitamba nevanhu veZANU-PF akaenda kuinterface anomboonekwa achipreza vana Mnangagwa kana kuti zvakadaro. Hazvizo here zviri kuita kuti mukashedzwa kuZANU hamudzokere here kuZANU?
Akuzana ndichenda kumapata ndichenda choko ndechekuti ZANU-PF ndiyo yacho iri kutonga iko ndiyo iri mwende iri kutonga. Kunotori kune matambudziko ariko service delivery, education, ma-ministers ndiye ZANU-PF, so ndotadza kuendera ikoko. Ndirakidza umwe minister asiri ane ma-executive powers asiri muZANU-PF. I've equally associated with MDC. Kumamatyiko ndaenda kurali yawo ikuwedza ndakaenda ndikatukwa chichi. ZANU-PF ikavhunduka kuti Themba akuenda ku MDC. Vakavhunduka kana pane time yakavhunduka musi, but I was honest and sincere. So I've equally been associated with MDC issues. Kubulawayo kumachi ndakaenda, I believed in it. Marare ndikamacha, Nyadza Zamara was there. Vachilida ndichi believe that yes, there must be human rights and so forth. They've had Kubulawayo, rally ndakaenda and so forth. So in I interface with anyone for the good of this country. And I believe there's so many things that we all have that we can share and move on. But I'm not there to be able kuyana nisavani and so forth. Indino shanda nemunhu wese, even mu parliament debate yakanaka, uwori weZANU-PF wani ndinotaura. Hapana munhu anoataka uwori kunge nini. But at the same time, MDC kauya one zvakanaka ndinoshanda now. But what's critical is for us to find ourselves as Zimbabweans, different talent and skills, put it together and move on.
The program is Late Night Politics, exciting debate here about youth mobilization as we go towards BVR registration. And we have in the studio Norton MP, Comrade Themba Mliswa, as well as MDC-T Youth Secretary General, Comrade Lovemore Chinoputsa. And we're discussing about mobilization. How do we get the youths to go out there and register to vote? How do we make them see the importance of making decisions that affect them in the future? How do we make them see through the various candidates? Some of them are just out there to make numbers. Some they just want the positions. Let's talk about the advent of independent candidates, Comrade Chinoputsa, especially in your strongholds. Your strongholds are the major urban areas, but we have seen a lot of independent candidates coming through. Their major complaint is that the MDC-T is not giving youths that platform to rise to the top of the leadership, and therefore they don't see any reason to remain within the party. Therefore they would rather go independent. Your thoughts on that?
Well, it's every person's democratic right to choose the direction which they want to take, and I think we've seen quite a number of people, I think, coming in on to wanting to be independent candidates, and I think it's their democratic right, and they deserve to be supported in that way. But I don't understand where and how people would want to point out that the MDC is not been given opportunities, it's not been giving opportunities to young people, because as far as I'm concerned, we're not yet at the level that obviously would want to be, where young people are in control of all the other arms of the party. But I think there's been a deliberate effort by the MDC since its formation, where it came and took people from, where it had people from the students' movement, where it had people, young workers from the ZCTU, and it had the many unemployed young people in the country coming on board to constitute the MDC. And over the years, it has continued to churn out quite a good number of very vibrant and very forceful young leaders. Lenmo Jongwe, your Job Scala, your Nelson Chamisas, and many others. And up to today, it has continued to have young people occupying different spaces. We are there as young people representing the issues of young people. We are happy with the platforms that we occupy, and we are happy with the progress that we are making. Comrade Themba Mliswa was talking about even the 20% representation that we are going to have in the next elections. Fair, it might not be the best but it's a good starting point. For me, it's a good starting point where then there's a deliberate attempt by the party to make sure that it understands and appreciates that young people are the game changers in this country, and they need to be given this. So if we're going to have 20% in this election, what will stop us from having 40, 50, 60% in the next election? So it's a good starting point. I don't understand. I've always questioned where people say the MDC has not been giving people
I think it
opportunities.
comes from the fact that when you will not have primary elections for these MPs who are in parliament, you will say, okay, for example, I'm not saying he's not performing. This is why Morisi continue to be an MP, continue to run unopposed in our primary elections. You are not going for primary elections. You have been but someone in the constituency will say, no, but Morisi has not been performing. We have not seen him.
Now it's a different case altogether.
Yeah.
It's now about,
that is
it's now
we're
about
talking,
just an individual wanting a position. But when you look at a political party,
no, you are protecting certain leaders who are not performing.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that there's no space for young people. The protection of a certain individual who does not translate into closing space for both. There are several other areas where a young person can come in and occupy. There are several constituencies but if people can be worried about in specific individual constituencies, then that will be a different case altogether. But I've wondered and I've tried to really find out where people are saying that the MDC has not been given space. But it still remains, like I've said, it still remains the democratic
yeah,
right.
Because the urban areas are the easiest seats for you to get.
At the end of the day, I think it will not be in the best interest of the opposition or of the progressive movements going into the next elections to have a plethora of independent candidates when we are saying that we're going to have an alliance that should be able to take everyone on board. And I believe that our negotiators are busy talking to potential candidates who are there, who want to stand in as independent candidates to make sure that they can become part and parcel of the MDC alliance. I think and it has never been an easy route as independent. I think we've had not more than 5 independent candidates ever since we got independence in this country.
Are you not taking too long in your alliance discussions? Because already 2 parties have tried to expel one before the ink has even dried and before you have even implemented anything. Some of the party to the alliance are already fighting amongst themselves. And there you are saying you are negotiating to say which alliance partner will go there and there. And aren't you taking too long to conclude something which is supposed to be urgent?
Well, the fact that it's taking long means that due diligence is being put and that everyone is we're trying to make sure that everyone is on board. The fact that we haven't finalized means there's still room for any other person who is interested to come on board. And it's also another, and these things have always been two-way. It can be the alliance getting to the people, and also the interested parties coming in on board to then say, where are you placed? And this is also a call that I would make to Honorable Themba Mliswa to say, you should not only wait to expect a call. I think he knows who to call. He has the numbers of everyone from the president to the last person in the MDC that he can talk to. It's also upon him to pick up his phone, make a call. I am relevant, and as far as 1, 2, 3, 4 is concerned, and I deserve and I demand a space in this alliance. I think that is the kind of approach that any responsible person should be able to then have if you realize that people are not realizing your potential or are taking long to come to you. So I believe that as we get to the next election, we'll be able to then say, how do we take on board? And as the MDC Youth Assembly, we've also been clear that we want to make sure that we converge as young people in terms of what are the issues that are affecting us as young people, and what is it that we're going to do in terms of enhancing our participation in the next elections. It will not help us as a youth movement to then say we have a whole lot of young people who are standing in as independents, and at the end of the day, because of the polarized nature of our politics, they don't get in. So why not have a deliberate attempt to then say, where is Fadzai Mahere, where is Linda Masarira, where is Comrade Themba Mliswa, where is Godfrey Tsenengam? How best can we try to work together with these people?
The synergies, I was coming to that.
Yes. Where then do we go as a collective, as a youth collective, to then say to our principals and our leaders, yes, you might have had decisions on one or two, but it's in our best interest to give Fadzai Mahere this constituency. It's in our best interest to give Linda Masarira this constituency. And I think we'll be able to convince them, and they'll be able to convince us of the different reasons that they might want to take, or they might not want to take. So I believe there's still hope, there's still room for us as young people to find it. And it begins when young people then begin to say, what is it that affects us as young people across the political divide? And I expected such organizations as YAD to then come in and bridge that gap, and then try to bring in young people across the political divide to work together. But like you've seen, it has always been around, and it has always been it has to be a Themba Mliswa issue. It's everything around YAD has revolved around one individual, and it has ceased to be a platform where every young person across the political divide can then be taken on board. And it is said that we have gone this far without credible platforms where that can be neutral, where everyone should feel comfortable coming. Because you get to that platform, you are not sure, you are not certain whether he is really up to ensuring that, or he has just identified a gap that there are young people who are there who are not doing anything, and the only way to remain relevant is to come in and make use of and play around with their emotions, play around with their feelings, play around with their concerns and demands, but without necessarily putting anything that is tangible on the ground.
Vamliswa Chinoputsa matauriro ake anenge ari kuti hanzi YAD ine 1 cent of power.
I think Chinoputsa is opening a can of worms. Is Morgan Changre? Why do you have a slogan, Morgan Chete Chete? I want to ask you, is it not your center of power? How democratic is that? Kuti munoti Morgan Chete Chete. Even mutupo munu munoto. No, let's be very clear. No, but let me respond. You said everything revolves around Themba Mliswa. YAD is not a party. Yes, I am the brains behind YAD. Okay, I am not a youth, but I decided to come up with an initiative that brings youth together. And you cannot deny the fact that YAD has contributed a lot to the youthful leadership of political parties who were not leaders. My new parties atangwa vafana wangu ari kuyadi because ndakati inini ndoda kuti ndibetsere vafana kuti vapinde mu leadership. So it's ndo zvandakaita ndosaka ndisingati haisi party is not aligned to anybody, haishande nemunhu, because you see my party ngeni Chinoputsa ndati YAD ishande ne MDC. But we don't do that, and we are not, and I don't allow them to also talk about their parties when they're there. Neither do I allow them to recruit within YAD, because there are some innocent young boys who come in who want to get into politics and so forth. So yes, if you think YAD must benefit your party, then you're wrong. You have your own youth league where you're the Secretary General, Itaiba Saikoko and so forth. And I think what is important to understand, it is the level of tolerance and violence which I've been trying to deal with. And YAD has been able to mitigate that in a lot of ways where we're able to talk. And I totally disagree with you when you say you're content with 20% of the positions going to the youth. That is ridiculous. They are over 60%. YAD is talking about over 40%. And I'm yet to see a party that will say, a party, not to Atanganas, a party which will say in NEMA structures, we are going to accommodate 50%. I've said each generation must have a time kutonga kwayo ende kana zvichinzi pane munhu mukuru wavaisa, but vanenge vachifunga kuti iyi ndiyo wataisa. The aspect of imposition, you did not answer that. You want to impose candidates. Where's the democracy? He talks about example of Murisi Rizai and others. Matotaura kudara kuti isusu ma seats aya hasukutorwa. Ipapo ndipo panopinda independence. Now let me tell you where YAD comes in when I talk about the third force in the country. I started the issue of the third force, and the third force emanates from the point kuti MDC chaimpose. ZANU-PF futi kuma primary elections vachanetsikana mapati. The third force tino harvester Ndiyongo yatinoharvesta. So there's no point in rushing to start a political party in this country or to ride on people's emotions. If you want to ride on people's emotions strategically and being one of the greatest mobilizers of the country, you do it after my primary elections in my party ese. Vanhu vakagumbuka, vanhu vakatsamwa and so forth. Ndipo pane natural wave inosumuka yekuti hamuistope nekuti Chinoputsa aopozwa. Umwe mfana anga chishanda imomo haana kupinda. KuZanu-PF umwe aiswa anga chifana kuenda. Saka ndiyongo yekuharvesta naturally. Saka haidi mari, haidi chi. So if you're talking about me being a strategist riding on people's emotions, let us wait after your primary elections and that of ZANU-PF and let us see what. This is where the birth of independent candidates will come in and so forth. ZANU-PF learned a lesson. 2008 not to impose. 2013 they did not impose. That's why you saw there were fair primary elections. Akapinza vanhu vese. Inini 2008 I was supposed to stand in Urungo West paka imposwa. Ikajiwa ikaenda ku MDC. Inyaya kuimpoza haina kana imwe nyaya munotoenda chete nekuti vanhu vanda ku exercise a democratic yawo. And the problem ndakuti ninye democracy but kuma party kwenyu hamuna. Munozotonga sei nyika yacho imimi musina internal democracy muma party. Imposition does not yield any results. You're only creating a third force which is eminent. No wonder why say with all the positions being given to people in the parties, there are factional fights which are there. They have taken the real agenda, that not of the party, but of the faction. So in a faction will also respond. In a faction ikasapinda. Push out independent, and so forth. So there will be a coalition of factions which I will lead as an independent. I'm just warning you. Rambai muchiro wana kuda inchangu ku harvesta. Saka there will be a coalition of factions. And chicha tora. Tomira sema independent. Tona kuti mtambo wacho nofamba sei. Imbomira hande ituoneka.
Chinoputsa, before you respond to that imposition of candidates kuti nyatsongoro wadaro hako kuti wadzamba ipapo boss time yedu iri kupera. Ma-alliances kumamisha zvakafanana nekumamisha muri kutarisa rekuti munogona kuita ma-alliances kana ma-synergy nema-war vets kuti kwamuri kuti havasina basa nekuti maybe kuZANU-PF vakunyanya kuemphasize nyaya yemayouths pane kurwisana kwavari kuitawo nema-war vets. Muropaona sei ipapo?
Alliance is going to have everyone on board. The alliance is not only for political parties alone, but every other important sector. And the war veterans remain a critical grouping of people in this country who should be on board of any serious political party or any serious alliance that wants to win the next elections. You can't take it away from them. Their role that they played in the liberation of this country and the continued significance that they have continued to have in the body politics of this country. So I believe that the war veterans are going to be a critical component that the alliance is already working around to make sure that where they want to stand as candidates, they'll be able to stand. Where they want to assist the alliance, they'll be able to do that. So I believe it's not going to be only war veterans. The war veterans are just one of the critical groups that will come on board. The churches, the civic society, different young people in different youth organizations, people living with disabilities. I think the alliance is looking at how best can we have representatives of all such groupings, so that when we come up with a candidate list, a list of our candidates, we'll be able to have it will be a broad church. That's why we're saying it's going to be a very big tent for everyone who wants to participate. And it's not that we're trying to make sure that we will not have as many spoilers as possible, as Comrade Mliswa has rightfully pointed out that it's going to harvest.
Apane rechimalema MDC-T kuti aiwa vedu engati mboita contest apana munhu anongonzi ferera to akumberi wotongoti ridza pito yatoti aiwa izvi hatidi contesta ma-sitting MP.
No, the issue is not about when you look at candidate selection, there are a lot of issues that are put in consideration. But obviously, we have said that as a principle, and I think this is a principle that
three terms.
As a principle, we're saying that we want to build consensus around a candidate. This is the principle that we're working with as the MDC. To say the first thing that we'll do is we'll get into an area, the people in that particular area should be able to give us a card. Because trust me, primary elections are divisive and very dangerous when you not managed properly. We have learned from 2013. Where we had
2013 hapana to imposition.
We had primary elections that were as divisive as
No, ndo until you remember kunana Rusape okuvana pakazwengo impose.
But you also look at around the people like Eric Knight, your what's this guy who was a DJ. They were primary, of course, people were questioning how these primary elections were being done, but the primary elections were held in the party. And we realized that they were dividing the people. So the first method that we're going to use is to make sure that there's consensus. And we allow people to talk and talk and talk until they agree on an individual. Where they failed to agree on an individual, yes, when constituents should be able to sit down and bring on the 3 or 4 or the 5 people and convince each other. And when that, and only when that has failed, is when we're going to go for a
but with due respect, I've been a provincial chairman and I'm the people's commissioner. How do you structure that? How do you structure that consensus to the end? You know, the thing we're worrying, Pat George, is that elections are 8 months. They don't have candidate in these constituencies. This is the issue which I've always spoken to them about. Kuti murungo taura ma candidates amuna ma constituency vanhu vari kushanda munhu anofanira achifamba nepropaganda yenyu nemanifesto hako muda kuzombuditsa 3 months but 3 months dzacho panenge pavharwa ndosaka ndati mascrews akutaitenwa manje achitaitenwa muchapinda sei uku muchiri kutaurirana ko ndosa ndichiti you are not serious about kugovernor nyika inoyi ndosaka ndichiti at the end of the day you cannot say kuti primary elections divide but that is democracy, internal democracy. Democracy only builds. So the majority will have their way, the minority will have their say and so forth. But my point is, why consensus is also a democratic process. It has never worked because kunebereka mwana ya unoziya maparties yatagachata munhu nevanhu vake Chinoputsa mira kumashure ndozoda vanhu vachiona kuti munhu akapinda fair nevanhu nyekuti leadership masangana maita consensus. So consensus ndeyani? Ndeye leadership, ndeye electorate here, ndeye members here and so nekuti mukaenda makagara se leadership zvonzi makagara mukawirirana makuru achi faction chenyu makuisa. Don't undermine and underplay I think factions. Kwese iyo unoziva nyaya yacho inoziva iwe utori ku faction kwauri pacha ndosaka andidi kutaura ndosaka uchiona ndichiwirirana nema faction nemapati andichawirirana nemapati aiwa ndakuwirirana nema faction nemapati nekuti ndikokune yese ikoko nekuti kupata akusina chinhu pati yase. So to me it is important and more serious and more important, guys, the timing makanonoka kudara. You win an election 3 months within the election ending. That is the reason why I was going to say to you, kuti inini wakagara pano Chinoputsa public tiri pa radio ini any constituency andinofunga kumira ndinowina. So Rungo West vari kundida ku Norton I'm working, they're saying the progress I'm doing and so forth, and ndine mombe hundreds andakubeja nemunhu kuti ini kwandafunga kumira ZANU-PF ikamira ndinoeja ne MDC any constituency and ndine mombe 100 mahefers andoda kuisa mudanga party yoisa mudanga tonodzichengeta kuprazi kweCSC toona kuti after election anotora ndiani nekuti ndaona kuti imi hamusi serious ende vanhu vakuzoona kuti vanhu havasi serious ukoona munhu akuisa danga rake 100 is determined. So for me I am winning and it's not about talking because I am on the ground and I'm talking to people on the ground. I'm penetrating even areas which were strong. There's an PF, but knows vanhu vakuti aiwa Mliswa istakuda leadership hautuke president ma policies hautaura ndo chayo yende nyaya haisi kutukana nyaya ndiye kurespectana asitaura kuti inini ndogona kuita chakati and so forth. Kana tichipinda kukampeni aka vanhu vanoona kuti ndichaita chakati ina ndichaita chakati indinoti ndakaita chakati saka vanhu vanovhotera munhu akaita chakati not achaita chakati and so forth. So you must understand kuti the current MPs have an edge over those who are wanting to contest because already they are doing something. CDF yavachapiwa it will go towards development yema areas yao iwo unopinda ushitichi ukamsati mana nema candidates aya varume itai serious nenyika tsvagai ma candidates mutange kushanda pa ground munzwe mood ne temperature yevanhu kuti yakamira sei. But like I promised you ticha harvesta yedu ndichaita angu coalition nema independent after magumburana my emotions ipapo ndibo paano shanda Chinoputsa
my last words ako tichivhara because nguva yedu yafamba mobilization yema youth pane zvataurwa na vamliswa experience yavo vanga vari ruling party is now independent pano zvimwe zvamunogona kudzidza kwavari tapping into what he knows how the ruling party operates. Your final words.
kuda kukurudzira vechidiki kuti vanzwisise kuti nyaya yekusunungurwa kwavo nenyaya yekugadzikana kwenyika ino zvinokwanisa kungoitika chete kana ivo vachiparticipata mumaelectoral process, and the first stage that they need to do is to make sure kuti varegister kuvhota, and kana pavanenge vakuzovhota vanofanira kuzonovhotera alliance MDC ichange ichitungamirirwa napresident Tsvangirai pamwe chete nemakurukota avo evamwe mapato ese nevamwe vakazvimirira vega vachange vachizouya kuzobata pamwe neMDC, nekuti alliance ine chirongwa chokumeka sure kuti ichaimprove upenyu hwevanhu, ichaimprove economy yenyika, ichatsvagira vana mabasa, ichaita kuti munyika munge nekugadzikana, munge mune peace, musina kurwisana. So ndinoda kuti vechidiki vanzwisise kuti zvakakosha kuti vange vachikwanisa kunonyoresa kuvhota, vasadzokera kumashure, vaencourage vamwe vavo vane mumacollege, vari mumauniversity, vari kuzvikoro kuti vange vese vachinonyoresa kuvhota, zvinhu zvedu zvingofamba zvakanaka.
Comrade Mliswa, final words.
What I'd love to say, vanorarama neurema tavatarisira pasi, they're 10 to 15%, and I think we need to have them represented in parliament. And zvandinokumbira nenyika inoi, chero ari pa wheelchair asingagoni kusvika asi achinogona kumirira vanhu vake muparliament, ndizvo zvinokosha. Saka patino sarudza macandidates ndoda kuti ti reserve 10 to 15% yevanhu vanorarama neurema kuti vange vachimirirawo vavo, kuti vazive kuti iwe neni natimbofu takazviita and so forth. And let ZEC also create a conducive environment for those vanorarama neurema kuti kana vasingagoni kunoregister, what will happen. Equally, the languages, we have 16 languages. Why is voter education not going as far as those languages too? Nekuti tirikusiya vamwe nyaya yema ID nezvitupa. I'd wish kuti kwangu ne education futi yekudza vanhu kana muda kutora chitupa nema birth certificate uyai neizvi because wakawanda vari kudzoserwa and so forth. Kunyanya ku Norton kwandikuona ma thing alien futi atisi kuita nezvatiri kutaura mutemo vari kutaura kuti tiite atisi kuzviita pa ground and so forth. But ndinoziva kuti ma founding principles enyika inoyo ngatirambe tichiakudza, yakaeneropa nyika, and ngatiende mberi, and ngatirambe tichisa pressure. Lastly, the ruling party must rule and the opposition party must oppose so that there's effective governance in the country.
Thank you very much to our guest tonight, Norton MP Comrade Themba Mliswa, as well as MDC-T Youth Secretary General Comrade Lovemore Chinoputsa. We were discussing youth mobilization, the BVR registration process. The blitz is ongoing. I think we are going into the second phase as soon as this coming Sunday, Monday. So make sure that you go out there, you young people, go out there and register to vote. The future belongs to you. You have the power to make the decisions on how you want to live in Zimbabwe. Choose the candidate that you want. That's the democracy that has come through our independence in 1980. And for those areas that have had low voter registration turnout, Matebeleland, please go out there and register to vote. And we just thank our guest tonight and very engaging discussion on strategy on how the youth can possibly go out there to register to vote. My name is George Msumba. The program has been Late Night Politics. Thank you. Catch me again next Monday for another edition. Good night.
You've been listening to Late Night Politics on StarFm, taking an in-depth look at the Zimbabwean political scene. Join us again next week, Monday, same time on StarFM. Tune in to StarFM every Monday night for Late Night Politics, brought to you by StarFM News and Current Affairs. From 11 p.m. till midnight for riveting, engaging political discussions. Meet Zimbabwe's political players as they square off live on Zimbabwe's leading radio station. Your Monday late nights will never be the same again. Late Night Politics on StarFM, leading the pack and sounding good all the time.